This is Andrene,
And this is Joel.
and you're listening to Rewind Rewatch, a 90s movie podcast. Welcome back, Rewinders, to Rewind Rewatch, where my brother and I rewatch 90s films and discuss how well they have aged. At the end of each episode, we give the movie a rewind rating between 1 and 5 to determine how likely it is that we would rewatch that film based on today's standards. Today was my pick, and from the long list of recommendations we have received from you all, I chose a Wes Craven film, The People Under the Stairs, from 1991. This is an R-rated film with a 1 hour and 42-minute runtime, and this was requested by one lucky duck today, and this is Chris out of Dallas.
Shout out to Chris.
So as I said before, this is a Wes Craven film through and through because he wrote, he directed it, and he also was one of the executive producers. Wes Craven is someone that I feel, as far as directing is concerned, I have always had a love for because he did A Nightmare on Elm Street, which is one of my all-time favorite monster movies. He also did The Hills Have Eyes 1 and 2. He did Vampire in Brooklyn. He did Scream 1 through 4. And when we covered Scream, I'm not sure if you recall this, but there's a scene where the principal, who's the Fonz, ends up...
Henry Winkler.
Yeah, he's about to get killed. And before it happens, he's spooked and he opens the door and you see a custodian dressed as Freddy Krueger mopping the floor.
I do remember that.
That, in fact, was Wes Craven.
Ah.
Now, is this your first time watching this film?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Because
I've never even heard of this movie before.
Because every week, one of us decides, what movie from the list we're going to cover. And so I texted him and said, this is the movie. And Joel was like, I didn't even see this movie on the list. Basically, what is this?
Yeah, straight up.
So I figured you had never seen it before.
Nah, I never even heard of it.
All right. Well, as far as the cast, there are a lot of people that we've seen in other films already covered by the pod. So you have the character of the Fool, played by Quintin Adams, and he was in The Sandlot.
That's right.
He also was in the Mighty Ducks movies, and he played Zeke in Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, he's been in a lot of different sitcoms here and there. Of note, I would say he's been in at least 4 episodes of A Different World and Moesha.
Nah, it's like once the movie started, I'm like, oh, this kid, I've seen this kid in mad things. He was just around in the 90s.
Right.
So shout out to Brandon Adams.
Absolutely. We also have another Ving Rhames. He plays Leroy. And we saw him.
Yes, he does.
We saw him in Mission Impossible. He was on the disavowed list. And we also saw him on the Patreon in Baby Boy.
Oh, yes, we did. One of my all-time favorites.
Sean Whelan plays a boy named Roach, who we will absolutely get into. And we saw him on the pod before. He played the assistant to Josie in Never Been Kissed. In addition to that, he also played one of the tornado chasing members of Joe and the Extreme in Twister.
Joe is the Extreme. So don't forget.
Not Joe.
Oh, Joe. No, it was Bill.
Bill was the Extreme.
Bill was the Extreme. You're right.
And then just as far as people we've seen before, at the end we get a small glimpse of Bill Cobbs, who plays the grandfather, Fool's grandpa. And he was the manager in The Bodyguard who ends up hiring Frank to cover Whitney Houston's character in The Bodyguard. So a lot of repeat actors in this film. So let's start by giving Joel the opportunity to give a 1-sentence summary of The People Under the Stairs.
Yeah, this is going to be incredibly difficult because this movie has a lot going on, but I'll give my best. I'll give my best effort. So 1-sentence summary of The People Under the Stairs is an impoverished boy is convinced to rob his landlord to find gold, and in the process uncovers people living in the basement.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what happens in this film. So the impoverished boy is Fool, played by Quintin Adams.
Which is insane that they just called this little boy Fool for
his name was Poindexter.
That's true.
And he was named the Fool because that was the card. So Fool lives with his mom, who's dying of cancer, and his older sister named Ruby. And Ruby plays with tarot cards.
Not to be confused with Rubik's Cube.
Oh, yeah. They're not in this film.
This is some nondescript Ruby.
Yes. Thank you for clarifying that.
Not a friend of the pod.
Thanks for clarifying that. So Ruby, uses tarot cards, and apparently the card Fool is the card that has been picked, or I guess the card chooses the person for Poindexter. And for some reason, because that was his card, they just started calling him Fool.
Nah, it's so crazy. and it's like they give like a whole spiel to start the movie. Like the whole start of the movie, like the first 2 minutes is like her flipping the tarot cards, and then it's like, oh yeah, you got the fool. Why are you the fool? Da da da. And it's like this whole thing. So I'm like, so this movie starts with like a 13-year-old getting a tarot reading. Like, what's going on? So I'm very confused already. And then I'm noticing like they're just calling him Fool for the whole movie. Like his mom calls him Fool.
Yeah.
His sister calls him Fool. His sister's friend calls him Fool. Like everybody calls him Fool. Nobody calls him Poindexter.
No, that's just his joint.
So I'm like, all right, is this what he wants? Clearly nobody asked him what he do. Does he want to be called? They're just like, nah, we're calling you this now.
Yeah, that's just what he is.
And they're down bad because not only is mom sick, which Fool doesn't even realize that his mom has cancer because they've been hiding this from him. He doesn't find out till after till 30 minutes into the movie. He's like, wait, what? His sister is turning tricks for money.
Yeah.
And apparently there were 7 siblings, 4 of which have died, and the 5th of which is in prison. So him and his sister Ruby are the only 2 that are like out and alive. And then Ruby, they make numerous references to the kids. So I'm guessing Ruby has kids.
But where the kids are,
we don't really
see
unclear. Them in the film. At the opening scene after the tarot card reading, we do see Fool reading a book, and he gets up, and there is a child that seems to be maybe a few years younger than him sleeping on a couch. And my initial thought was that was his brother, but that turns out not to be the case. Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing that's his nephew. But we don't see this kid ever again, and we also don't see any of the other kids. They're just referred to.
Yeah.
So casting them apparently was not in the budget.
Also not very important for the whole story, I suppose.
Right, but just change the script.
But also it's like they have so many people they're depending on.
Like you can't, but this is the whole thing. Like you can't say like, yo, we have to take care of the kids, and then there's like they're not in the film. Movies are a visual media. Like you can't just not have them.
You know what I was thinking about when we covered An American Tale on the Patreon? Mm-hmm. How Fievel had a younger sister, a baby sister.
Oh yeah.
And then by the middle of the film, she was just completely gone.
They just was like, yeah, we don't feel like drawing her anymore.
So kind of a similar situation. So Leroy, who's played by Ving Rhames, is Ruby's boyfriend, but
unclear
or pimp.
Unclear.
He's clearly.
He's a nefarious character.
He's very shady.
He's definitely routinely breaking the law.
Yes.
We know that much.
Yes.
Because he's trying to convince Fool to also break the law.
At 13.
He's basically like, yo, your mom is dying, your sister is a hoe, and y'all about to get evicted. So you have to do this. So he's like, wait, what? Like, he doesn't have a choice. Like, he's basically telling him, like, this is what you have to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, he's talking crazy about this man's whole family. You're not a part of this family. You're talking crazy about everyone in this family. You're talking crazy about my sister. And then he's like, oh yeah. When he introduces himself, he's just like, oh yeah, I'm Ruby's friend. That's all he says. So Fool doesn't even know Leroy before the beginning of the movie.
You're right. This is his first time meeting this man. He's just chilling in the house.
Yeah. Very comfortably. Like, oh, y'all about to get kicked out your house. You going to be the man of the house?
And to be fair, where they live, I mean, it's basically like a crack den. Like, they have the only apartment that's left in this building because we find out that the slumlords have pretty much just priced everyone out and people can't afford to pay the rent. So they have not a lot of time. What is it like?
Did you hear this setup? It's like, oh, if you're more than 3 days late on rent, you have to pay triple?
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
That's not at all the way rent works.
No.
Triple?
That's not how that works.
So that means if my rent is $900, I gotta pay $2,700
if you're 3 days. Yes.
On the 4th of the month.
Yeah. Or we're throwing you out on the street.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, it made absolutely no sense, but it's what these people are doing. And
this is not the last time we're gonna say that.
And poor Fool feels like he has to help. And again, it's not very clear why Leroy needs a 13-year-old boy's help. Because Leroy hears that apparently these slumlords are hiding these gold coins. And he's like, they're at the crib. We need to break into the crib and get this money. And by doing so, obviously, Fool, you and your family can come up. Fool has plans of becoming a doctor, which right now, there's no way he can afford that. So it's like, hey, this is going to help you and your future, as well as get your mom the medication that she needs. So at 13, Fool's like, well, I guess I got to help rob these people. One more thing about Leroy that I wanted to point out, though, is not only is he a nefarious character, like, he's just nasty. Like, I feel like...
Nasty in what way?
As far as sexual, like, innuendos, almost everything out of his mouth has to deal with ass, tits, and pussy. Think about it.
This breaking and entering might not be so smart. I mean, it's the first day of my 13th birthday. Could be unlucky.
13th birthday is unlucky anyway. Too old to get tit, too young to get ass. Fucked out of the way.
You're not wrong. He also is like cussing out this little boy pretty consistently throughout the film. I don't know. I felt... Well, yeah, we can talk about Leroy before I get into the whole Fool of it all. But yeah.
So they decide, let's basically drive down to this landlord's, the nice part of town. They live in L.A., and we're going to go over there and break into the house. So the first attempt was, we're going to have Fool dressed up like some kind of Boy Scout, walk up to the door and say, hey, miss, I'm trying to raise money.
For cerebral palsy.
Yeah, okay. Buy some of these cookies. And
it's a good lie.
And she basically is like, yeah, I don't want, get off my porch, and no. And so she's like, yeah, that old lady was not really buying it. So then they end up sending in Leroy's friend, Spencer. Spencer is white boy, and he's a grown man, and he pretends to be part of the Metro Gas Company to get into the house. And so he gets into the house, really not much of a problem at all. And then next thing we see, the lady is leaving the house. So Leroy's like, wait a minute. Spencer's in the house. The lady has left. So we're assuming the house is empty. And like, Spencer didn't let us in. He didn't so he's thinking like, yo, Spencer's trying to cut us out of the deal. He probably found the gold coins, and he's gonna grab them all, leave out the back of the house, and just dip.
This is dumb already. Like, I thought that this was always gonna be... It didn't make any sense. It's like, all right, so first of all, you're doing this robbery with someone that you very clearly do not trust. Because as soon as he doesn't come back immediately, the first thing that comes to his mind is like, oh, he's trying to get one over on us. So it's like, is this your man's or not? Don't y'all do robberies together? Like, I don't understand. Because they robbed a liquor store the night before, and that's how they found the map for the gold coins. Right. So it's like, this is your guy. Like, y'all do robberies together all the time. He didn't come back in 5 minutes, and you already jumped straight to he's cutting us out. How did he get out of the house with the gold coins? You're his ride.
Out the back, maybe. Who knows?
Was he going to walk?
I don't know.
Y'all don't live in this neighborhood, man. Like, it didn't make any sense. Like, this is really impatient. And
So then what does he do?
It turns out that Spencer is dead. So it wouldn't have mattered if they waited another hour. They probably would have still had to go into the house.
But here's my problem. You're robbing these people. Why am I pulling the car into the driveway?
He made it so comfortable. And also it's like, they didn't seem to have any contingency plan for like, what happens when these people get back home?
Exactly.
It was just like, oh, we're just going to go in here. And they were like, just like doing a whole recon mission. But it's like 2 p.m. Like it's the middle of the day. Mm-hmm. For all you know, they're going to the post office and coming back. Like you don't know where they're going, how long they're going to be gone. You don't know who lives in the house.
Exactly.
You don't know how many people are there. Like all they're doing, this is all under the assumption that these 2 people live there, and we saw 2 people in the car leave. So the house must be empty. But it's like,
yeah, it's terrible.
You're supposed to be good at this, bro.
Yeah,
like I'm taking your lead.
You're right. There was no recon whatsoever.
The whole point of them going there was to do recon. They weren't supposed to rob the house that day. They were supposed to rob it a different day. Mm-hmm. They were going to see what's their security system, what cameras do they have, so that we can plan out a robbery. And instead, they just break into the house.
That's the thing. Like
that's the opposite of recon.
If Spencer didn't come back, then you just gotta assume like maybe he did leave, but like either way, like let's go.
Yeah,
like,
let's go home. If Spencer comes back, then we can figure out. But it's
what
like
happened? Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. So he leaves the car there. He goes inside. They end up having like a guard dog in the house. So like all these, this whole like chase.
Like a pit bull.
Yeah, this whole chase ensues. They have to try to evade the dog, which they end up doing. And we quickly realized like this house has a lot of like hidden passageways and hidden doors.
Like booby trapped.
It's crazy. So
it's very clearly a house that they're trying to keep people out of.
Yes.
So it's like, what's happening here? What's going on in this house? This is more than gold coins.
But Leroy is still thinking like they got money in here they're trying to protect.
He ends up being correct, yes. But at what cost?
It's more than the money, is what we find out.
The other thing is, we know for a fact that fool needs this money or his family's getting evicted and his mom won't get cancer treatment. We know this. Leroy, we don't know anything about other than that he breaks the law routinely. Mm-hmm. And he seems way more hell-bent on getting in this house than Fool, who, by all accounts, needs the money a lot more than That's Leroy.
True. That's true.
But Leroy is the one who is really forcing the issue here. And the thing I wanted to say about Fool is I felt really bad for this character because I feel like the kid is being forced to grow up way too fast. Mm-hmm. He's being given pressure by his sister. He's being given pressure by Leroy. Even his mom gives him this deathbed request to be the man, of the house. And he's like, yeah. I'm in 6th grade. I don't know, man. I'm doing my best. But I don't know. It sucked because it felt like he was being forced to exist in this very adult situation against his will. And all the adults in his life were basically saying, well, yeah, this is what you have to do.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it was just a very, it just reminded me of other stories that you hear about people living in poverty, who are just their childhoods get snatched away from them because they have to basically survive. And the result of that, people like Fool have to basically figure out how to do things that kids should not be a kid should not be worried about how to pay their rent. Yeah. That should be something that the adults in your family are dealing with. But this is the situation that he finds himself in. So I was very sympathetic to this character from the beginning.
Yeah, you had to be.
Because it was everything felt that it was being put on him, and very little of it felt like any of it was his choice.
Right. So what are you going to do? So at this point, they get into the house and they decide to split up. Leroy tells him, I'm going to go upstairs and look for Spencer, and you stay down here, see what you can find. So this is when Fool finds the basement door that's locked. He unlocks it and he sees Spencer's lighter and clipboard on the stairs. So he figures Spencer must have come down here. And when he opens the basement door and goes to walk down the stairs, he like trips some sort of wire. The stairs turn to like almost like a slide, and he slides down the stairs. I mean, this is like Home Alone, but like way more nefarious. And he slides to the bottom.
Yeah, they ain't no Harry and Marv.
No.
It's not
no.
It's none of that.
No.
But here's my thing. If you're a fool, you're going in the basement?
He saw his clipboard and his thing.
No. So you would be like, yo, let me go explore?
I'd be like, yo, Leroy, I see his stuff.
Because he's calling, then this is Spencer's. This is Spencer's stuff. This is not even Leroy.
But I'm saying, I would say, Leroy, I see Spencer's stuff.
Right. He's like, yo, Spencer, is that you?
Yeah.
No response. And then he's like, let me just walk down the stairs. Like, this house is already mad creepy. We've already been attacked by a pit bull.
Yeah.
I'm not walking into the basement. Like, I thought that was crazy, especially for a 13-year-old kid who's obviously scared. I was like, this seems like a really dumb idea.
He got more guts than you.
He definitely has more guts than me, because I would have been Audi 5000, baby.
Outside in the broad daylight waiting?
Straight up. Like, yo.
I'll be looking out.
Yo, Leroy. I think they're about to come back. I'm not going in the basement, dog. I'm not going in the basement. Never. It's crazy.
And the basement is humongous. I'm like, bro, these people really got money because their house is massive.
The house.
It was like its own little house down there.
The house is so big. We haven't even gotten to Roach yet. But Roach has created like a whole environment for himself in the walls of the house.
Yeah.
He has his own like little bedroom set up.
Yeah.
And he sneaks around in the walls of the house as daddy.
I can't wait to talk about this.
As daddy tries to shoot him through the wall. And I'm like, yo, how big is this house that you hear someone in your walls for years? Like, we don't even know how long Roach has been in the walls.
That's true.
He's shooting the walls and has not got this guy once.
No.
So this house is not only has a huge basement, not only has a human living in your walls, it's booby-trapped to the gills, and they're able to completely hide their daughter from everyone. No one even knows this girl exists.
In addition to
the
number of other people.
Oh, no, that's all the basement, though.
Yeah.
And they have a whole attic that we don't even see until, like, the second act of the film.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, wait, this is here, too?
Yeah. They're slumlords. So, yeah, he goes down there. He ends up discovering Spencer's body. And the first time he goes down there, it's like he sees that there's like people with flashlights who are like moving around in the basement. And I'm thinking, like, are these people trying to attack him or trying to hurt him at first? Are they trying to warn him? I wasn't quite sure the first time I watched it. And at one point, he ends up discovering, he hears this sound, and it's a television that is being played, but it's like leaning up against like the planks of these walls. So it's like facing into the walls. Mm-hmm. So it's like, who could possibly be listening to and or watching this television? And right now we're kind of completely confused as to what's going on. And they're watching like the war in Iraq apparently happening on this television. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, someone's watching this television and he hears sounds, but like it's really not like intelligible as to what these people are trying to say. So after discovering Spencer's body, he's up out of there because it's like, bro, I don't know what's going on, but I don't want no parts. So,
but that's the other thing. It's not just finding Spencer's body. It's the fact that like his hand has been like chewed.
Yeah.
So it's like, so these people living in the basement are like eating humans?
Not to mention Spencer's face was like white, like ashen. Like he had lost all the color in his face.
Yeah, and he was in the house for like 30 minutes.
Yeah. So whatever he saw terrified him. So at this point,
Leroy said, not Leroy, Fool was like, when he goes back to Leroy, he says, you thought he was white before. You should see that sucker now.
So he runs upstairs and he sees Leroy and he's basically like, yo, I found his body. He's dead, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, we got to get out of here. We got to go. And he's like, no, the gold's got to be here somewhere. It's like, okay, but he's dead.
Yeah, so you want to die for this gold?
He's dead. And like, we don't know where the gold is. So like, let's just get out of here. At this moment, we hear the car returning. And again, like they're coming home and there's a car in their driveway. Mm-hmm. So they know that there's somebody in the house. So this is where we finally get a chance to meet Mommy and Daddy.
And this is also why you don't park in the driveway of the house you're trying to rob.
You shouldn't park anywhere near the car.
Yeah, it shouldn't be on the block.
Yeah.
They also shouldn't have been in the house at all, but that's irrelevant at this point.
So now they're like, wait, so there was another one because they already know that Spencer was in there and he's done. So now they're thinking there has to be at least one other person that's in our house. So this is when they get in the house. They're trying to figure out what's going on. And I think this is kind of along the time when we kind of meet the daughter because the daughter is in the house and the daughter, oh my God, from the very beginning, I'm like, oh, this poor girl is Alice. She is being abused probably in all senses of that term because she's terrified to interact with Daddy or Mommy. Oh. She's not afraid of Roach.
No, but she's being told not to interact with him. So she has to sneak all of her interactions, and she's apparently also been sneaking Roach food.
Yes.
Which also, like, if you don't want your daughter to sneak food to the people living in your walls,
don't leave her with food and walk out of the room.
Why don't you just eat together?
Yeah, or just watch her eat if that's the case. Because then, Mommy was like, "Where's the?" That's what they call her. Mommy was like, "Where's the fork that I gave you with your lunch?" And she's like, "My fork? I might have dropped it." So first I thought that Alice was trying to like hide the fork
as a weapon.
But she legit was scared and looking for it. And then as she's down on the ground looking, we just see this long pointed fingernail with his hand come out and pass her the fork. And the first time you saw that hand come out of the wall, what was your thought? I just want to know.
I was just like, I don't even know what I thought. I was just confused because I'm like, all right, so there's obviously, first of all, the title of the film, The People on the Stairs. So it's like, all right, so there's going to be some sort of people living in this house. And then when I see the hand pass the fork to Alice, I'm like, okay, so she's cool with whoever's living here. Mm-hmm. And whatever they got going on, it seems to be all orchestrated by Mommy and Daddy because they're obviously abusing Alice. And so they must be a part of whatever's happening to the people under the stairs.
Yeah. So we know that, but out later on, that Roach was one of the kids that was down in the basement, and Roach figured out a way to get out of the basement and is now living in the walls. So he's been like pretty much running free all over the house.
Which is why they call him Roach.
Yes. And so Roach, he goes by Alice, I guess they kiki.
There's another important detail about Roach.
Roach has no tongue.
Yeah.
And we learn very early on that when it comes to Mommy and Daddy, they have this whole like, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. And if you are a child that breaks one of these rules, then Daddy will punish you in the way that's appropriate to the rule that you broke. So because Roach apparently was trying to scream for help, they cut out Roach's tongues. So we come to find out that they're looking for a replacement for a brother to join Alice so that they can have a daughter and a son. And all of the people under the stairs were boys that didn't work out, that broke one of these rules. And so if you saw something you shouldn't have, there go your eyes. You say something you shouldn't have, there goes your tongue. You hear something you shouldn't have, I guess they would cut off your ears. So...
Well, we don't have any evidence that they cut anything out of the other people, but we do know that they're all trapped in the basement. And presumably if they're kidnapping children... Well, the people we see under the stairs, the men that we see under the stairs, as I say, men, are grown. So that means they have been holding them in their house for many years.
Yeah.
They have not seen daylight or interacted with any other humans other than each other. So when we are introduced to them, they all look like zombies. Their skin is very pale because they, again, haven't had any sunlight. And it seems to be the only food that they're getting are like human remains of the people that Daddy kills.
Yes, that is correct.
Because at one point, I mean, Leroy doesn't make it in addition to
Spencer.
And we see Daddy, like, what's the word I'm looking for? He basically guts Leroy.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's, like, tossing pieces of his flesh onto the other side where all these zombie men are being kept. And then they just, like, huddle around it and start eating it. So it's like, oh, so this is actually the only food they're getting.
So since you bring this up, I think I might as well talk about this fact now. So listeners who have listened to our Showgirls episode may have recalled that we talked about how the NC-17 rating was created back in 1990 to replace the X rating. And this particular film almost received that NC-17 rating due to the character of Daddy, who was supposed to be eating a human liver. So in the scene, it's like when he gets Leroy and he ends up like slicing him open, you see like the midsection with a blade, and he removes the liver and he tosses it to the children under the stairs. In the original cut, Daddy took a brief nibble of the liver himself before flinging it to the kids.
These are men. These are not even kids. At best, they're teens. At best.
Yeah. So apparently the liver took like very special construction to make from special effects. And Wes Craven was saying that like it was really painful to have to cut that scene because there was so much effort that they put into constructing this fake liver. But because, you know, the MPAA preferred the movie without that scene, he said he had to go ahead and cut that out because, you know, NC-17, he feared that it may have had a bad showing in theaters if they had kept that rating.
It would have.
So he was like, yeah, I had to do it, but he didn't want to do it.
My thing is anybody seeing an NC-17 movie that isn't porn? It's like, are you going to see an NC-17 movie? I mean, obviously, I'm not asking you per se because
ask the listeners.
We weren't around in 1991, yeah. But it's just like, I feel like if a movie gets slapped with the NC-17 rating, you're expecting it to be
sexual.
Something like a Showgirls type of movie where, okay, it's NC-17 because it's got a bunch of naked breasts or something like that. But it's like, this is just kind of horror, kind of comedy, and someone eats a liver for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be kind of a letdown, number one. And number two, I feel like people just wouldn't watch it because, like, the people under the stairs, NC-17, I'm not watching this. I'm just going to go watch something else. I could just go watch Silence of the Lambs. Pretty sure that came out the same year. And he's eating people in that movie, so why wasn't that NC-17?
It wasn't raw liver.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? Like Hannibal was, you know, he would cook his people, I think, sometimes.
Silence of the Lambs was 1981.
Yeah, and he also, I mean, it was different. This is just kind of like, I mean, very gruesome type film. But anyway, they cut him taking the bite out of it. But you do see like the blood on his hands. You do see him tossing it to the kids. And throughout the film, we are led to believe that not only do the people under the stairs eat humans, but their dog is eating humans as well because they're feeding him like an entire hand at one point in his dog bowl to eat. So that's how they keep him.
Yeah, he eats Leroy's hand.
Yeah.
Because he chokes on Leroy's ring at one point when Fool is trying to kick his head through the side of the door.
That part was actually funny because Fool says to him, "Man, what have they been feeding you?" And then he kicks his head and he sees the ring fall off, and he's like, "Oh." It was Spencer's hand, but yeah.
So, all right. So that brings me to the next thing about this movie. The tone.
Bro, I don't even know how to talk about the tone of this film. Because like you said, it's horror/comedy, but I don't know. I feel like it's so sick and perverse at some points where it's like, I'm not laughing at this. But then there were parts, for instance, like the character of Daddy was very comedic to me.
Jeez.
One thing about him that I still can't quite figure out is he gets to a point where after they kill Leroy, they end up figuring out that Fool is also in the house because the cops come to their home and are able to trace the vehicle as one that was used the night before in a robbery. And they were like, oh, this was one that was used. And they find the little Boy Scout uniform in there. And they're like, oh, the little boy must be in here too.
Which, again, these things make no sense. I just want to pause here because, number one, there's a disturbance in the home. They come, they ask you about this van. The van was used in a robbery. And they're like, oh, you haven't seen these people? All right. And then they just leave the van there. That would be police evidence. They would coordinate off, number one. Number two, they came home and saw the van in their driveway. They didn't check what was in it before?
No.
And these are people that are literally hiding humans in their house. So they have all the reason to be super cautious and act very cautious.
Yeah.
But they didn't even look to see what was in the van until after the cops showed up. Anyway.
No sense.
Yeah.
So no sense number 3, I guess, is when Daddy decides, oh, it's hunting time because now I'm here to get full and I also want to get Roach because he's crawling all over the place making a hot mess. Daddy's making
a hot mess though. Roach is not making a hot mess.
But Daddy, for some reason, can only hunt if he's wearing this dominatrix outfit.
Man, listen. He dresses up.
I couldn't understand.
In a full leather outfit.
From head to toe.
With like a mask. He looks like a BDSM RoboCop.
Yeah. Think of the Catwoman outfit.
Nah, bro. But it's with the head mask.
Yeah.
So it is kind of like Catwoman.
Yeah.
But he only uses it when he's like wielding a shotgun.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, when I'm about to kill someone, then I put this outfit. It's like, I don't understand what the outfit was supposed to do.
Yeah, because I was
like, is this your superhero outfit?
Is this
I didn't understand what was the purpose of
part of the kink? I didn't really understand because I'm like, I don't think this is part of it. I don't think it's supposed to be part of it.
But also, you talk about making a hot mess. He's destroying his own house.
Yeah,
like he's literally shooting the walls in an attempt to kill this roach that he can't get to because he's not small enough to fit into the walls himself. Mm-hmm. So when he hears someone crawling through the walls, he's just blasting shotgun holes into the walls of his own home, which again, how big is this house that it's not just completely destroyed? Because when we see it in later scenes, it's not like the walls are destroyed.
At all.
The walls look fine.
Yeah.
But he is routinely shooting holes in the wall. And we know that Roach has been evading him for quite some time. We don't know exactly how long, but we can assume it's been months, maybe even years.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And what's weird about this is Daddy has no regard for the fact that they have neighbors. Because at one point, he ends up going outside with a shotgun. And he shoots like 2-3 times.
And when Leroy escapes. When Fool escapes.
And Mommy's like, what are you doing? Get back in the house. He's not shooting outside. And he's like, oh, sorry. But no one called the cops. And so I'm like, well, is their house? No, they actually have neighbors. They're not in the middle of nowhere. No one hears these shotgun blasts going off. And no one calls the police when they hear these shots going off. So that made zero sense as well. But I'm like, okay.
Well, here's the biggest gap for me. The biggest thing that made no sense is the people in the basement, right? Or the people under the stairs, I should say. Because we established that they're trying to build this perfect family, despite the fact that they chastise everyone for doing anything. And they don't even really seem to be that happy with Alice, so why are they keeping her alive? We'll get to that later. So the boys in the basement, some of which are teens, some of which are grown men, they didn't fit the bill. Mm-hmm. But we also see that there are human remains in the basement. We see that there is some sort of disintegrating vat that they dump people's bodies in that burns their flesh. This is where he dumps Spencer and Leroy. So I'm like, all right, so this couple, they're also wielding a shotgun and trying to shoot this 13-year-old. So it's obvious that they have no issue killing people. So I'm like, so why didn't they just kill the people in the basement? Like, why are they keeping them alive just for, like, there's really no upside to it because you have Alice cooped up in her room. She's never left the house in her entire life. but you're forcing her not to interact with the people in the basement. Mm-hmm. You're mad at her whenever she interacts with Roach, who's living in the walls. So why not? And you're actively trying to kill Roach, but you're keeping everyone else in the basement alive, which at any point, if one of them escapes, then now you have 2 roaches, or 3 or 5 roaches.
Right.
So it's like, it was unclear why the people under the stairs were being kept alive and only being fed when they killed another person. It's like, you could just kill them.
I think it was just a form of torture. I think they were just sick individuals, and it was just a way of being able to assert control over people. They're sick people. So it's it's nice to be able to think like, oh, I got these people down there, and you got people down there who can't.
But it's an inconvenience.
I mean, how often is he feeding them? It's probably not that often.
Yeah, I just think you are leaving yourself more liable to getting caught because you have all these humans living in your basement.
Yeah,
and you have an easy way of disposing their bodies because they've killed many people and have not been caught. So it's like, nobody's looking for these kids now. They've probably been missing for 15 years.
Well, they're evil people, Joel.
Yes, of course.
And then the whole thing with Daddy and Alice, it's like, at one point, after the whole fork incident, Mommy leaves Daddy in the room with Alice and says, well, remember, like, don't, like, mark anything that shows or don't mark her face.
Yeah, he says, like, she basically says, don't leave any marks on her face.
Yeah, so it's like, we know that he's clearly physically abusive, probably sexually, too, because I can't imagine Daddy's running around with this costume on and not doing God knows what with it. And I think another reason why I thought
at the very least, she's getting her ass beat.
Yeah, but the reason why I thought it also might be sexual is because after they find out that Fool is in the house, and at some point, Alice is helping Fool. They figure it out because Fool's able to, like, evade them through, like, one of the many doors or one of the,
There's a Fool doll. Remember the dolls?
Oh, that's right.
The soul dolls.
That's right. Every person that comes into the house, the daughter Alice makes like a doll in their likeness. And she had a basket full of people that had passed through the house.
They didn't pass through.
Well,
they didn't make it back out. They
came in and didn't make it back out. And so, yeah, right, they find the Fool doll and they're like, well, that means Alice clearly has seen Fool and has a doll for him.
And she helped him.
And
she's helping him evade us.
And Daddy's concern is basically like, oh no, like, does that mean like they're making it or they're doing it? And it's like,
yeah, that's what he said. Oh, she definitely did it with him. It's like
he's 13.
And also, what time did they have to do anything?
Well, that's true. That's true.
He's literally running for his life. He didn't do anything. He didn't have time for that.
I didn't think about that. But also, like, they're 13-year-old children. Like, that was my whole thing. It's like, these are actual kids, but like, your main concern is like, he may have had sex with her. So that's why I'm like, yeah, when people act like that about their kids, it's because they're doing something with their kids. Like, it was just very...
Well, I don't know if I drew that conclusion, but it definitely felt to me like coded racism, for sure.
That's probably part of it.
And I'm pretty sure they say the N-word at one point. When this is like the first scene we see them in, where they're talking about like, these people were in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. They got all these N-words now. Yeah. But it just reminds me of like, you know, the Jim Crow era where like people were getting lynched for like looking at white women. And it's like this whole fear of like, oh, we can't integrate schools because then our poor daughters will end up being impregnated by these beasts.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think, where my head went, was just like, oh, because he is a black kid, he automatically associates him with being sexual, and then he's going to like...
And being violent.
He's going to have sex with my daughter because that's the only thing that happens when black people interact with white girls. So I think that's where it went. But I guess my question for you is like, to the whole point of keeping these prisoners... See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. There's also a sign, a crocheted sign in Alice's room that says, children should be seen, not heard. As a constant reminder to her to keep your mouth shut. And over the course of the film, it becomes apparent that Alice has not been the perfect child. She has not been seeing no evil and hearing no evil and speaking no evil. She has not been seen and not heard. And I guess I'm wondering, why did they continue to keep her alive? Because like they have all these kids in the basement that didn't meet the standard.
But they're all boys.
Right, but she's not meeting the standard either because they're abusing her. So why is she still alive? Why isn't she in the basement?
I didn't realize that wasn't their daughter. Like, I thought that was their daughter, and they were just, like, trying to find a boy, which made sense. Like, this is their kid. They don't want to kill their kid. But towards the end, we find out that they had actually kidnapped her as well. But they kidnapped her so young that she believed that these were actually her parents.
Not to mention, they are actually siblings.
Oh, yeah.
And not actually anyone's parents.
Yeah. Lovely. So yeah, finding out that she's not actually their daughter does make it more of a head scratcher, because it's like, oh, you actually could just start over with a new kid. But I think also they may have been raising Alice since she was a baby. So it's like, do you want to start all over with a new kid? Or do you just kind of
They obviously have no problem starting over. They've started over many, many times with all these boys.
Yes, but I don't necessarily think they took him in maybe that young. Like, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know how old those boys were kidnapped. I don't know. And
then by the end of the movie, Daddy is ready to kill Alice. And so that made me think maybe they've only been keeping her alive because Mommy wants to keep her alive.
She has been protecting her.
Yeah.
Throughout the film, she did.
She had some sick mother-daughter thing going on where it was like, oh, you make me so upset. You're not doing the things I want, but you're my precious little girl. And it felt like she was like abusive towards Alice clearly, but also like trying to protect her from Daddy. So I'm like, if Mommy wasn't there, maybe Alice would have been out of here.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. I think you are right about that. Although Mommy, like, I think the hardest scene for me to watch, it wasn't the cannibalism, that did nothing for me. It was the scalding hot bath. That was like, oh, dear God.
She's like, it's hot, it's hot. He's like, yeah, hell's even hotter than this. Yeah. And of course, there's this like sick psycho-religious undertone.
Always
of, like,
involved.
Very like Carrie's mom type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, just, I guess, taking a little bit of a sharp turn here. I wanted to ask you about the escape. Because
when Fool gets out.
At this point, Alice is helping Fool. They find an open window. The only open window in the house is up in the attic.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about this. Yeah, the whole, like, the windows are locked, the doors are locked. Like you
there's
cannot
no way to get out
of this house. Yeah.
And so they find an open window, and Fool's like, if we jump out the top of the window and slide down the roof, I know that the backyard has a huge puddle that we can fall in.
A pond.
It'll break our fall, and then we can escape. And so he's trying to convince her to do it, and she's scared. And again, this is a girl that's never been outside of this house.
Yeah. Alice, come on, we gotta jump. I can't. I'm afraid.
Look upstairs, Alice.
Alice, what's out there?
There he is.
And they're being chased actively. And now Mommy and Daddy are coming up the stairs, and they found them, and they're coming to get them. And it's do or die time. And Fool is like, I'm jumping out the window, Alice, let's go. And she freezes and doesn't go with him.
Mm-hmm.
And Fool escapes, gets back to his home. And there's this whole interaction with Ruby, who's basically like, yo, those people are dangerous, number one. Number two, I did another tarot reading. I saw some dangerous stuff in the future. And he's like, well, I made this promise to Alice, so I'm going to go back. And then he leaves the house. Man.
That drove me crazy.
So I guess my thing is, do you feel that he owed anything to Alice?
No. But to be fair, what he did after leaving Ruby was he just went across the street to a payphone and called the cops. That's what
true.
He did. So, like, okay, good. You called the cops.
But he also snuck back into the house.
No, I'm not. I don't like that. I'm just saying, like,
because he called the cops to get the door open so he could sneak back in.
Oh, you're right. Because he knew the cops weren't going to find anything. Not to mention the cops weren't even really looking. Like the mommy is serving them, tea and crumpets. And it's like, oh, it's dangerous. It's getting
coffee and cookies.
It's so unsafe now.
The American tea and crumpets.
It's so unsafe now. The neighborhoods are getting crazy, and it's like, yes, man. We've heard some things about robberies and this, that, and the other, and the cops are just like drinking and having a chat, basically.
And they're like, we don't find anything. And again, because the house is booby trapped, and they have all these like secret passageways.
Oh, crazy switches.
Yeah, they have the whole place hooked up to the point where like. To the untrained eye, it looks like a normal house with nobody else in it. And they're playing music to hide the noises of like people moaning in the basement. And for me, this is a big red flag because I'm like, if cops come to my house and they're saying, hey, we got a call suspecting you of child abuse, I'm not going to be making you coffee and serving you cookies and being like, come on in, officer. I'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? There's no children here. And I feel like the fact that they are not upset and they are being so nice to the cops should have been a red flag. That like, all right, so there's nothing going on here and you're just like whining and dining us.
They're a wealthy white couple.
Oh, yes.
You forgot about that part. That's the whole thing.
This is also not to suggest that cops have any idea what they're doing, because I don't really believe that in movie life or real life anyway. But to me, it just was like, common sense should tip you off that like this doesn't really make any sense. Like they're being way too inviting for a couple that has absolutely nothing to hide.
They even ask about Alice's bedroom, because it's like you said, you had no children, but also we see a girl's bedroom, we see the bed, we see clothing, and they say, oh yeah, our daughter died years ago, but we've kind of just left the bedroom as it was when she passed. And they're like, oh, okay, cool, I guess. Meanwhile, Alice has been hanging by her arms upstairs in the attic since Fool snuck out. So now she's being tortured because Mommy is no longer really protecting her.
I think the other thing for me is like, Fool initially is scared by this whole situation. He doesn't want to do it. And he almost kind of gets bullied into going into the house by Leroy, who's basically telling him like, oh, you a chicken, you soft, da-da-da-da. Like all this like toxic masculinity stuff to get him to nut up and go rob these people.
Yeah.
And he finally escapes by the skin of his teeth. And the first thing that he decides to do is sneak back into the house to save this white girl that he just met. And I'm like, bro, this is insane. But I also feel like it's almost shining a light on like this misconception of what it means to be a man and what it means to be masculine. It's almost like he takes this whole mission as a way of like, I have to do this to prove that I'm the man of the house, that I can fight for my family, and I'm going to be the hero to this girl, and all this stuff, when he really probably should have just been worried about protecting his own safety. And he's able to retrieve a couple of the gold coins.
Yeah, I was going there next.
And when he gives it to his grandfather,
and
his grandfather's like, oh, this is enough money not only to get your mom some cancer treatment, but you'll have your rent paid for like the next 6 months. So there's no reason to go back in the house other than
to save
Alice.
And the other kids under the stairs.
Yes.
Because he saves them as well. But you're right. I never would have done it. And going back to your point about how the cops are
But again, like, sorry, not to cut you off, but like, I also feel like this is all a byproduct of him being fed this narrative by the adults in his life and telling him like, this is what you're supposed to do and you're the man of the house. And like, he's not able to even be comfortable being scared. They're not even giving him the space to do it.
He can't. Look at how he's raised up. You're the man of the house now. Which makes no sense because his sister is way older than him. His sister's a grown woman. So it's like, why can't you take care of the family, sis?
Well, I mean,
I'm just saying.
We can talk about when she goes to the house. Because she does show up with the whole hood.
The whole neighborhood. The whole neighborhood shows up.
I don't remember what you were going to say.
Oh, I was saying, going back to the cops not knowing what they're doing in TV land or movie land. As you said, he called the cops as a distraction, which is funny because, like, he knew the cops weren't going to take it seriously. But I'm like, so the cops opened the doors and, like, nobody saw this little black kid sneak into the kitchen and hide in the cupboard?
No.
Which also means they had an entire cupboard that had no dishes or anything in it. Because he's just hiding in there.
I mean, the whole kitchen is probably just...
a front.
Like, this is a torture house, baby. Yeah, we're not cooking food for nobody.
That's true. They just spit roast humans over the fireplace.
Feed Alice some gruel.
Yeah.
That's all they're doing.
So he gets into the house. He goes up to the attic. He finds Alice. She's hanging on by a thread. And he ends up, at some point, like, climbing down the chimney with her.
I was very confused by that scene.
Yeah, that whole scene was a lot.
I didn't understand what was happening. I didn't understand the physics of it because they're sliding down. So first, they're on the roof. They look down the chimney. Daddy's at the bottom. He's wielding a shotgun, trying to shoot them.
As he does.
They throw a brick and hit him in the head.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now he's out.
Got it.
Then Mommy picks up the gun, and while she's looking at them, they slide down, fall on her head. He puts his fingers up her nose. Mm-hmm. But then they slide down more?
Yeah, so apparently they had, like, the chimney goes all the way through the house, and because their house was rigged the way it was, Alice got off on one floor, and apparently he could go further down into, like, further into the house. And at this point, I was just like, why are we not just leaving? You have Alice. Like, that's why you went back. Let's go. But now he's like, nah, I got to get everybody out. And he intentionally went down into the basement to try to figure out how to get all of the people under the stairs out. So a little bit of the black savior instead of the white savior. But the magical Negro, I guess, is what you call
100%
it. Magical Negro, where it's like, oh, I got to go in, I got to save all these people because they can't do it. But I will say this, Roach actually was kind of one of the reasons why he even got the money. Because I think Roach was the one who showed him where the gold coin was.
Nah, the gold coin was in Spencer's hand.
Right, but I remember Roach reaching up and showing him, there's more gold. And so that's kind of how he knew where, I guess, the bulk of the gold was.
Right.
Was Roach kind of gave him the heads up before Roach dies. And then Roach writes down, basically, that's what it was, Alice, don't forget about Alice. So I think in Fool's mind, it's like, well, Roach showed me where the money was, kind of in exchange for making sure Alice gets out. And so I think, going back to your point of him feeling burdened, he felt like, since I got this money and now I'm good, I kind of owe it to Roach to make sure that Alice gets out of here. And after now he knows that Alice should be safe, he goes downstairs. He's trying to figure out how to get the boys out. And this is when Ruby shows up with the hood and Grandpa.
The whole hood.
And they come knocking on the door. Mommy answers the door like, what do y'all want? And they're like, I can't believe you're trying to do this with the rent.
You and your brother are landlords of over 50 buildings in this city, all of which you've allowed to deteriorate into rat-infested hellholes where you guys get rich charging ridiculous rents. Then you evict anyone the minute they can't pay rent so you can tear down their home and build some more office buildings. Ain't that about right? None of your goddamn business!
And I was kind of figuring out, like, what exactly is y'all go here? Because, like, do you think she's gonna, A, care that y'all are outside her house, and B, she's gonna let you stay in an apartment? Like, I just...
See,
I
so
didn't really
the thing was, for me, it's like, so Ruby obviously knows that Fool went back to this house. He was very clear about the fact that he was going back. So my assumption is that they were going back to help save her brother, but nothing about the way that they showed up indicated that they planned to get into the house.
Right.
Or find where Fool was. So I'm like, what is actually the reason they're all here? Presumably just so that they could grab the cash at the end of the film that all explodes out the house. That's the only purpose that the hood, and to say like, oh man, he got her real good. Hey, what they doing with that girl? She look crazy. Like, that was the only purpose that they served.
Yeah, I didn't care for that at all. It did nothing for me. Like, oh, I'm going to tell her off. Okay. Rent is still due in the morning.
Right.
So I didn't understand why they had that whole I mean, I guess let's show the whole, like, the hood staying together and, like, we're stronger as a group. But they didn't really affect much of anything because, I don't know.
Well, speaking of the hood, while they're yelling at mommy in the front door, this is when Alice slides down from the chimney?
Yo, Alice could have left this house about 3 different times.
I don't really understand where she came from exactly, but she slides down from somewhere, comes through the roof, and lands on mommy and knocks her down.
I forgot about that.
So they're like, yo, like, but then, like, after that happens, so now the door's open, mommy's knocked out, Alice is standing in the house, but she doesn't run out. So she's still in the house.
Yeah.
There's at least 50 people standing outside watching all of this unfold. But then later in the scene, they turn around and they're like, where'd she go? Where's mommy? She escaped. And they're trying to figure out where she went. But I'm like, but there's like 50 people watching her.
No one saw her get up.
No one saw her get up and then hide?
No. And then when she does that, she slams the door and locks it. And now Alice is stuck back in the house.
Again, what are you all standing there doing if no one is actually trying to either get in the house or help the girl out, figure out where Fool is, tie up mommy so that she can't continue to hurt people? Like, they're not doing anything.
No.
And then it's just like, oh man, where did she go? You guys weren't watching her?
No.
What were you watching? What were you doing?
I don't know. Yeah, they were pissing me off. So basically, it was up to Fool and, like, the boys to, you know. And I think it was actually Daddy accidentally gets the boys out because he's shooting like a madman trying to shoot at Fool. And he ends up, like, shooting the lock or something. Like, I feel like it was an accident and he ends up, like...
It was a scheme where they, he's, like, standing somewhere. He's, like, tempting him to shoot at him. And then he ducks out the way. And then, of course, it shoots the lock off. It's like, oh, I tricked you into not shooting my head off.
Because I feel like didn't one of the boys like holding on to Fool and was kind of like dragging them along? I think one of the boys was the one who was like trying to get him to shoot out.
They fooled him into shooting off the lock.
Yeah. So now you got all these kids, young and old, who are out, who are mad as hell. And now they end up able to go where Roach was throughout the walls in the house. And the part where mommy ends up being grabbed by the boys, man, that made me laugh. So now they're just like busting out of the walls in the kitchen and mommy has nowhere to turn.
He popped up through the stairs, grabbed her. There's somebody, but boom, boom. Everybody was just popping through the wall and popping through the wall exactly where mommy was standing.
Yes.
And hitting her and grabbing her and knocking her down. Before you know it, she's surrounded by like 8 or 9 of these zombies. And as she's trying to get away from them, Alice takes the knife that mommy was threatening to kill her with only seconds ago and stabs mommy. And that's the end of her. She stays alive for a while after getting stabbed. But
oh, yeah. It took her a while to die. And this kind of doesn't make sense either because, as you said before, the house is so massive and the structure is so sound that Daddy can shoot all of these different guns off in the house, and the house is still in very good condition. But when it comes to mommy, for some reason, these boys who you gotta think are weak, starving, they're able to punch through the walls.
I mean, it was
grab her.
It was very cartoonish.
I was like, oh.
The end of the movie was very cartoonish. And again, like, when we talk about the tone in this film, like, I was very confused. Like, I'm like, who exactly is this movie for? Like, I was trying to figure out, like, if you were pitching this movie, who would you say is the target audience? Because it's too scary to be a kid's movie, but it's also like way too juvenile to be like a serious horror film.
Hence the comedy horror.
So I'm like, who is the target audience for this movie? Like, I don't know who I would be marketing this to.
I think like horror fans who are out for a laugh, maybe.
Okay.
That's what I would say. If you don't like horror, you're not going to like this because there's too many like things that happen that are very horrific. So,
but it's also not like actually scary.
No, not scary. But I mean, just as far as like seeing how humanity can be so evil, I think, is kind of what's horrific about it.
Yeah,
and you know, Daddy's complete obsession with wanting people to burn in hell. Because he says that throughout the movie.
So at the end of the movie, Fool discovers this
it's like a vault
that is basically Scrooge McDuck's vault from DuckTales.
It really
that is filled with bags and bags of cash and gold coins. And I'm like, well, how did they get gold coins from selling real estate? I'm pretty sure people aren't paying their rent in gold coins, but whatever. Matter. And this whole chase ensues. He also has the entire house like lined with dynamite. And so he finds Fool in there, and he is able to finagle the dynamite where he has these two wires, and he's like, if I touch these together, they will all explode.
How does he know how to do this?
How does he know how to do this is gonna exactly what my question was gonna be, because it's already been established that this is not a kid that breaks the law. He has not done anything illegal up to this point. But when it's convenient, because he is from the ghetto, we're supposed to believe that he knows how to like jerry-rig wires for dynamite explosion. Like, it didn't really make any sense. But whatever. And he's like, if you don't put that gun down, I'm going to blow all of this up. And he tries to shoot Fool. Fool puts the wires together.
And then jumps back.
And the entire house explodes because it's filled with dynamite. The cash blows sky high. Everyone from the hood who's standing outside is like, yo, all this money. And they just start picking up cash. But then Daddy gets blown. He falls into the vat of whatever that stuff is.
Yeah, Daddy's dead.
Fool, like you said, ducks and apparently is unscathed. In addition to all the people under the stairs, none of them get blown to bits. They all escape. We see them coming out of the house at the end. So I'm like, how does the house explode and only the one bad guy dies?
Not to mention, none of the money burns.
No, it just flutters.
The money
into the
just
air.
flies out.
Blows out. It blows out of the windows and into the streets. Just bags and bags of dollar bills and gold coins littering the streets.
You touched on this earlier, but I really don't understand it, and I have to talk about this. I get the fact that these boys have been in the house, they have not seen the sun for years, but why do they look like the Lost Boys or like one of the vampires from Angel or from Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Like, I couldn't understand why they looked like this. It wouldn't cause your face to distort.
David Boreanaz.
Yeah, it wouldn't cause your face to distort in that manner because you don't have sun.
Nah, they look like zombies, bro, and it's like, that's not it doesn't actually make any sense at all. Okay. Very, very few things in this film made sense to me, in general. But with that said,
themes?
Right, let's talk about themes.
I mean, I think the overarching theme, when you talk about mommy and daddy and how they were slumlords and how they were abusing the people who lived in the ghetto, it was really talking about the abuse of power and how the wealthy, although there may be fewer of them, they still have control over those who are economically weaker. And it's kind of seen every day. Look today. Look at the world. Look at how people are trying to struggle. You look at America about like just how widespread you have the working class compared to the top like 1%. It's like it's a very small amount of people who are at that 1%, and everyone else is just kind of like struggling for scraps. And they hold all the power. And I think it just had a lot of like socially just talking about how the world works, particularly when you're thinking about a capitalistic society like America is.
Yeah, it definitely has a lot of that, and obviously the capitalists in this movie are like the ultimate evil characters. So makes it very easy to root against them, and for all the reasons other than, in addition to them like kicking people out of their homes and turning these apartments into commercial property, they're also abusing children, and they're also like shooting people, and
they're cannibals.
It's like it's over the top. I think the other piece about like the whole man in the house thing is definitely a part of this film as well. Like, what does it mean to be the man, and what is the responsibilities that you have as you're a boy trying to learn how to be a man in society?
Yikes.
Yeah. But ultimately, it is this 13-year-old that is responsible for solving the problems for all of these adults, and he has to be the hero.
And children. He's helping everybody out in this movie. All right, so a couple more facts that I didn't talk about earlier on. Wes Craven apparently was reading a newspaper article about two burglars who broke into a wealthy LA home back in 1978. They ended up calling the cops and found out that the owners had two kids that they had kidnapped and locked in the basement. And he decided to use that as the inspiration for this film.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because people are evil in real life, in case you guys didn't realize that. I was watching this cast reunion that was on YouTube from 2017. And the actor who played Roach, Sean Whalen, said that someone came up to his booth. He was at some kind of like convention.
Yep.
And someone approached his booth and it had a picture of him from the movie, like with his eyes all crazy and like making this face and his tongue. And
he didn't have a tongue.
Well, the cut tongue. And he said this viewer came up to him and just asked, like, man, like, how long did it take for you to get those prosthetics done every day? And he said, so I went on to explain that the finger prosthetic took about an hour every day because they had to like keep the fingers like glued a certain way. They also had to carefully paint them a certain color. And the guy said to him, no, not your fingers, those fucked up teeth and gums. No, Waylon was dying laughing. Like, he was laughing at himself. And he said, oh, buddy, that's all me. And the guy was like, oh, damn. All right.
Never mind.
He was like,
my bad.
He was like, oh, okay. So he was kind of laughing about it. He was like, yeah, that's actually how my face looks. That was not makeup, apparently. But for the tongue, he said that they had this weird, almost like a glove that he had to kind of put on his tongue that made it look like it was chopped off. And so he would keep it on the entire time he was filming so that if he had to try to say anything, he would get accustomed to trying to speak with it on. Because if it wasn't on, he would forget that his character couldn't speak and actually speak. And so Craven was like, yeah, just put it in your mouth. And he did that, and that worked out.
But also, he didn't have, like, any real lines, so it's like...
Yeah, but there were times where he might be like, oh, crap, or, like just react to something. And so it kind of helped for him to just make sounds throughout the film. So we talked about how the guys kind of came up looking like they were zombies. So there was one character, apparently his name is Stairmaster, although it doesn't really come up in the actual script at all. But it's like the main guy we see at the end who's walking out of the house and he's looking around, like seeing the outside world for the first time.
Yep.
His the guy who played that role was Jan Birch. He's actually the oldest child, so I believe he's been in the house the longest out of everybody that's been there. And if you notice...
What part of the story is this?
No, I'm just saying, like, that was, like, his character, like, based on the script. And so he was saying that, like, if you notice, his eyes are completely black. Like, there's no white at all in their eyes. And so this is back in 1990 they were filming it. So he said back then you just couldn't go and get color contacts like you can now. And so they had their own optometrist on set who had to build custom like blackout contacts for him to wear for the movie. And he said this was kind of new to the industry. And so the eye doctor was like, look, guys, I need you to have it on for like 15, 20 minutes max. And he got to take him out of his eyes because we're kind of like just testing it out to see how it's going to go. They're like, okay, cool. So they start shooting, and it's been 15 minutes, and now it's 20 minutes, and now it's 25 minutes, but they're still shooting. And the optometrist is like, yo, like, trying to tell him to cut. And like, nah, we got to do one more shot. 45 minutes pass. He said, they yell cut, they take my contacts out, and I can't see anything.
What?
He said, I couldn't see anything for 2 hours. And eventually they started like putting drops in. And he said, eventually I started seeing like gray outlines and then shapes, and then the color came back into my eye.
No way.
And then he said, well, after that, he was like, they basically said, okay, hard 15 minutes, we're going to stop, and we're not going to leave it on longer than that. And so the people on the panel were laughing like, bro. And he said, well, what was good about it was because it took me so much longer to get through my scenes, I think it ended up stretching out his time for like another week or two to be on the set. So his paycheck was bigger. So he was like, it ended up being okay. And they're like, yeah, so you would go blind for a paycheck. He was like, hey, I mean, for 2 hours, yeah. I was like, yeah, nah. I'd have been like, yeah, so I'm not putting those back in my eyes.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely
I'm not doing another 15 minutes after that.
Nah, that's crazy.
So yeah, that was that. I can stop there. Oh, we didn't mention this last week because we were just like wrapped up in, I guess, just recording. But if you all were here last week, you will notice that we have a new Rewind rating intro.
That's true.
And it was voiced by our lovely father, Mark Brown.
That's true. Shout out to Pops.
All right. And now
it's time for the Rewind ratings.
All right, so this was your pick, so
yes.
Do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
I can go first.
All right.
I've seen this movie a few times. The first time I watched it, I wasn't watching it for any theme or anything. I was just, I just threw it on and I was like, this movie is terrible. I was like, what is this movie? There's a lot going on. Why are they mommy and daddy? A lot of questions and no real answers. Watching it back this time and then discussing it with you, I do like the theme that you got. I didn't even think about it that way as far as like being like a young boy and like having all of this being placed on his shoulders and him having to grow up and having to be the man of the house and save their neighborhood and save the girl and all of this. I didn't see any of that. And taking it from that stance, I think it's very interesting. It's like an interesting study basically on how people who live in certain environments have to grow up so young and have to adjust. And I think it really does ring true for the movie overall. So I think that makes it age well for me. As far as things that didn't age well, we talked about how sexually charged Leroy was and all that he said. Just the abuse of the kids and all that. But I mean, that was done for a reason, I suppose, as far as the abuse. I still don't get the dominatrix outfit or why that had any part, but I don't think I'll ever know. Craven's no longer with us, so I can't.
Maybe that was the comedy portion of the comedy horror.
Oh, perhaps. This is just a strange movie. Like,
so strange.
I don't know if I would tell people like you gotta check this out. I don't think I would do that. Would I watch this movie again?
You've already watched it many times.
This is my third watch.
Okay, so you have watched it again.
Yeah, I have watched it. I didn't remember a lot of it because it's been a while since I've seen it. So I think I'm going to go middle of the road with this one. But you have to know what you're getting yourself into. If you don't like a lot of like gruesome stuff, this watch is definitely not for you. So if you're in for a laugh and you like horror, sure. I'm going to give it a straight 3 and call it a day.
Okay. I thought this movie was pretty bad. For all the reasons that we stated, but I was just like, I don't understand what this movie is trying to be, and that made it hard for me to like really buy into what was going on. I thought the acting was pretty good, considering what they had to work with. Like, I thought there wasn't anybody that did a bad job, but I thought the script was very nonsensical, and I couldn't tell if they were trying to make me laugh. But I also didn't find a lot of it to be very fun. I feel like the things that did make me laugh were like the end where the kids are busting through the walls. And I'm like, what is happening here? Like,
That's
this
funny.
is just turning into a cartoon, or like, when Daddy puts on the BDSM outfit, and I'm like, that definitely made me laugh.
Very funny. Yeah.
But a lot of the movie, I'm just like, what is happening? And there were so many plot holes, many of which we named today. So I'm like, this movie just seems to be a little bit all over the place. I do feel like there are themes that we discussed that are valuable themes, but I don't know that this movie was the best way to get those themes across. Like, I just thought it was not well done, especially for Wes Craven, who's like pretty renowned in the horror world. Like, this did not feel like it was up to the standard. So I don't think I would really want to watch this movie again. I'm going to go with I'm going to give it a 1.5.
Wow. 1.5 and 3. Widespread.
That is a widespread. I was actually surprised you said 3 because I was like, this movie was not good.
I've just seen it so many times that I just feel like it's something I would throw on in the background if I'm doing something and I would laugh. Like, it makes me laugh.
This movie, man.
So if I'm gonna laugh, then
yeah, no, I mean,
that's
hey,
entertaining.
It's your rating,
yeah,
for a reason. And if you have your own rating for this film that's something different than a 1.5 or a 3, or maybe you agree with one of us, let us know. Reach out to us and tell us what you thought of this film. We can be found on all the social media sites at RR90spod. You can also email us at rewindrewatch1990s@gmail.com. And we are also available on Patreon, where you can be a subscribed rewinder for $5 a month, where we have a chat that you can speak to us directly, and we also have bonus episodes.
We sure do. Before I highlight one of our rewinders who left us a message this week, I also wanted to point out quickly that Mommy and Daddy were played by two actors, Everett McGill and Wendy Roby, who both were on the show Twin Peaks between 89 and 91, and they played a married couple on that show.
Oh, wow. So they're very familiar with each other.
Yeah, shout out to them. Now, as far as being a rewinder who gets a shout out this week, we are shouting out Yadia from Nashville, Tennessee.
Shout out to Yatia.
She left us a message stating that she recently listened to our episode on Misery. So her message says, I read the book, never have done so before, and then I rewatched the movie, as I hadn't seen it in years, and then listened to the podcast. She said the book is much more gruesome, and Annie was twisted as hell.
Yes, it is.
And I gotta say, yeah, you're absolutely right. The book really goes way beyond what we're showing in the film. And Annie, I think Annie is definitely one of my most favorite villains. I feel like back in the Lion King episode, we talked about like Disney villains, but I think Annie Wilkes for me has got to be up there for one of my favorite villains because she was so out of pocket. She's
amazing.
And because she had mental health issues, you just didn't know when she was going to flip that switch.
I feel like she won a Rewind Award on episode 100.
Oh, probably did.
My memory is
Best
correct.
Crash Out or something?
I think she definitely won something.
Yeah, she was fantastic. One of our friends had a costume party for their birthday, and I actually went as Annie Wilkes one year.
I remember that.
So yeah, I absolutely love her. I think she's phenomenal. And I agree with your twisted as hell comment, Yadia. So shout out to you.
I've also read that novel, and it is intense. Like, there's a part where she like runs over someone's head with a lawnmower.
Yeah.
Like, that's not in the movie.
Yeah.
But I distinctly remember that part because I was like, what is happening? And Stephen King is obviously an excellent writer, so he's descriptive.
Mm-hmm.
And she comes off very terrifying in the film. I thought they did a great job of that. But in the book, it's even worse. It's just like, this is a absolute psychopath.
Yeah, I believe she won like an Oscar, which was very rare for a horror movie to win for like best actress. So fantastic. All right. Well, I guess we're down to final words.
Final words. Your father's one sick mother. You know that? Actually, your mother's one sick mother too.
That has to be Leroy.
It was actually it was Fool.
Oh, okay. Well, close enough. I'll also add, I got him.
Oh my god. Oh.
All right, y'all. We will see you next Thursday.
Adios.